Hi everyone, the Touchline Report is back after a break week, and we are now in our fifth episode. We are going to talk about what happened in the Champions League semi-final, second leg. Try to talk about our 11s for the semi-finals, and then we'll move for some on the pitch news and out of the pitch news too. So let's
Yeah.
start.
Okay. So first game, Real Madrid Chelsea. Obviously, I'm disappointed. Real Madrid's my team. Chelsea. Respect to them. They had a great since Tuchel came on. They've absolutely transformed into one of the greatest English teams as at the moment. So, what are your thoughts on that after Chelsea brutally knocked out Real Madrid?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I was expecting that, and Chelsea just took advantage of the fact that in the first leg they won, and they Real Madrid needed to score goals, and they took advantage of that. They counterattacked, scored two goals, and they were the better team in all of the this knockout. So like they deserve to be in the final, and I'm not surprised at all, especially because Real Madrid this season they haven't been that great, and they were not for me for all of this Champions League campaign. They were never a Champions League side like they used to be. Like they of course they deserve to be there, but they didn't play as good as they have shown us in the past. So and the proof is that it's the first time they reached the semifinals in 3 years. So.
Yeah, I think you said it all. Chelsea. I think were the better team the whole time. They were the better side. And obviously Real Madrid, they pushed their hardest, but I didn't think from the beginning Real Madrid were able to reach the semifinals. But they were giving quite easy draws. Atlanta, Liverpool. I think they were pretty easy as well. I think Chelsea obviously pushed them to their limit. They weren't able to surpass Chelsea. Their attacking side. I think Chelsea did a really good job holding down the fort. And when they got the attacking chance, they took it. Christian Pulisic come on. Obviously he affected the game as soon as he came on. Making crucial passes, taking on shots from here to here. He was the reason they got that second goal. Conte winning the ball back, getting it to Pulisic. Pulisic catching Courtois, and then Mason Mount just sitting in the middle, good position. And I think they did a really good job. I think they have a really good chance in the finals against Manchester City. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think Chelsea did really good against Real Madrid. I think they deserve to be in the final.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree with you.
Yeah. So now we can talk about PSG Manchester City. I think that was a better game in my opinion. PSG getting so many shots on target. I think it was 38. I'm sorry, not on target, just 38 shots, but zero shots on target. What are your thoughts on that after a disappointing performance from PSG?
Yeah, like you'd expect Manchester City to try to stick with the ball and try to play their game, but they are actually very comfortable without it. And if you see like the goal, I think the first goal it's a long ball from Ederson to Shevchenko. So they were actually playing a lot of long balls behind the PSG defense because they were like really up on the field and they were pressing high. So they needed to they wanted to get a goal as soon as possible, and like we've seen a lot Manchester City try to stick to their ideas sometimes and play their style, and they didn't need to do that. They are the superior side for sure. No doubts about it, and it was an incredible game for them, and they are finally in the Champions League final. Amazing performance from Mahrez, amazing performance for Shevchenko. I mean, like he Guardiola didn't put him in the starting 11 in the game before in the Premier League, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and we could see just he was thinking about playing him, and he was crucial throughout the second leg. So, and he was vital playing the ball to the entrance of the area that the ball was like kind of blocked, and Mahrez ended up scoring the goal after that. And yeah, throughout the whole game, like we can point again, like Gudogan, Bernardo Silva also very important. These two players working. So yeah, and Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, again, it
Yeah,
was amazing performance. And in the defense, I mean, Ruben Diaz, amazing performance. Like amazing, amazing. I have no words. Like he was so vital for Manchester City in these two legs, and he
yeah,
showed again how good he is. And yeah, they deserve it. They are in the final again, and PSG one more time out, and they have been looking for the Champions League like Manchester City. They had a chance last year. Now they were knocked out in the semi-finals. So, but yeah, Manchester City deserve it, and they were the better side. So if we go by who deserve it more, they deserve it more than PSG. So
yeah.
congratulations to them.
Yeah, Manchester City put on a stellar performance. It was really good from them. PSG, always trying to get onto into that attacking side. Obviously there we went down going into that second leg. They weren't able to perform as good as they have in past performances, past games. So yeah, 38 shots, that's a lot of shots. But when there's zero on target, what are you gonna do about it? And there's no point to take shots if they're not gonna be on target. If you're gonna take shots, try and get them on target. Try and work the goalkeeper hard enough so later on he makes a mistake. But sky highing it each time is just not going to get you anywhere in the game, especially when you're going into that game like losing. So yeah, Manchester City, great performance. Mahrez, their star player, but Ruben Diaz in defense was definitely one of the most vital players for City this season, let alone these two games. Brilliant defensive play from him. You know, Euros 2020, the Euros this season. This year in the summer, Diaz is going to come in really handy for the Portuguese people. And for Manchester City, I think they have a really good chance of winning the Champions League as well as Chelsea, especially with Diaz in defense. He's a rock, just a wall for City. It's gonna be really difficult to get past him. Whenever you're dribbling, playing long balls, he's always gonna be there. His defensive positioning, his strength, it just all together comes together. I think he's one of the best. I think he's the best defender in the Premier League at the moment. And I think that's City's gem for him. He is City's gem. He is their player. He's their savior. I think because of him, City are going to the final. Obviously, Mahrez, De Bruyne, all playing so incredibly well for City. They were all great players. City together played collectively as a team wonderfully. Zinchenko was also really vital on that left side. Making the good runs, like making great runs. Like for example, that first goal, Ederson to him, as you said, a long ball to Zinchenko. And you put it in the middle, and Mahrez was able to get onto the end of it and finish. I think it was a really good performance from City overall. And yeah, I think City deserved to be in the Champions League final, and PSG just didn't put on that great of a performance.
Yeah, you mentioned it all. Like they deserve, and they are finally there. They have been fighting for this for so many years, and yeah, I think even Guardiola mentioned several players that they are not in Manchester City now, but they kind of contributed to this. So it's have been for Manchester City the last couple of years with Guardiola. Like it's been a growing period for them, and they have now the chance to finally get their hands on the Champions League trophy. So let's
Yeah,
see.
finally for the
So
first
they're their
time.
first time. Yeah, first time. So Chelsea the second time they are going to have uh, the chance
Chance
to
to
win.
win
I
it.
think if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah. So yeah, I think both teams, very good teams. It's gonna be a great final. We'll talk about that next episode, hopefully previewing the final. But yeah, it's gonna be definitely a dramatic final. You're always gonna be on the edge of your seat. I just can't wait to watch it.
yeah, for sure.
And now we have to talk about our best 11 from the semis. Obviously lots of great players from both teams, but we could only pick 11. It was difficult to choose. A lot of thinking time we had. So yeah, we chose our best 11. Emmanuel, would you like to go first?
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to share it real quick. Are you seeing it now?
Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, uh, I'm going to start by the goalkeeper. I choose Ederson. I think like from all of the four goalkeepers in these semifinals, it was the one that probably performed better. Although he, okay, especially on the second leg, as you already mentioned, with zero shots on target, he was not like in the game. He was not very crucial, but I mean he put that beautiful ball to Shevchenko. So I mean he in the first leg he also performed like really well, and from all the goalkeepers I don't think that any of them stood out, so I chose Ederson especially because the way he's very important for City to basically start playing from the goalkeeper and build up from there. So my center backs, I chose Roman Diaz, of course, amazing performance throughout all of the season, and in the semi-final, very crucial to to win the match and uh, get Manchester City to the final. I chose to pair with him. I chose Rudiger, especially because of the second leg. I think he did a really good performance, very important, and I mean, he's obviously a great defender, not, in my opinion, not at the same level as Ruben Diaz, but he was very crucial, especially on the second leg, and he really impressed me because, like, I know he's good, but I don't put him probably in my top five center backs right now, and he performed really well. No, like I was supposed. This is my mistake because I was supposed to put Shevchenko on the left because I already mentioned him a lot of times since we started this podcast now and this episode, and he was amazing. Especially that second leg game, he was very crucial. Like he did those runs forwards, very important for Manchester City to get those balls in PSG defense back. So pretty crucial player in my opinion for Manchester City, and especially on the second leg. So then I put Aspilicueta. I mean, he's been very important player for Chelsea since Tuchel joined, and now I think, especially I mean, in both legs, he was pretty good, and in the second leg, he showed how important he is for Chelsea. Then we move to the midfield. I mean, it's impossible to not put Kante in my 11. He was simply incredible in both games, and he was everywhere very important to pressure Real Madrid midfield. And he was for me like the key player in all of the games, and probably since Tuchel joining this Champions League campaign for Chelsea. I mean, if we watch the second goal of Chelsea in the second leg, he's the one that recovers the ball, and he's the one that goes forward, picks up the ball, and simply builds up all that play that leads to the second goal. He was very important. He was very important there. So I mean that shows how good he is, and it was at the end of the game, and he was so quick. Basically, recovering the ball, it was a header. He's not like the tallest players, and he recovered the ball on the air. Then he picked up and simply took it forward, and he basically built up for all the second goal for Chelsea. Really important player. Then we have De Bruyne, especially important on the first leg, as we already mentioned in our previous episode. And I mean, in the second leg too, he was like he didn't stood out as much, but of course he's always very important, and he was also involved in the in the first goal. He was the one that shoot the ball, and the ball ended up in front of Mahrez, who shoot for the first one. But he was very important always present at the entrance of the area of PSG, and always there create to create some danger situations, and it's a very very vital player for Manchester City, and it has been for several seasons now. Then I chose in the right wing Mahrez, of course, because in the first leg he played really well, and in the second leg 2 goals. I mean, pretty important, and he played really, really, really well. And I mean, I can't say anything more. Just like who watched the game can feel how I feel. It's incredible how he played, and he scored the 2 goals. So I had to add it to my 11. Then on the left, I picked Phil Foden, very important player for Manchester City, and on the first leg, incredible. On the second leg, incredible again. Like, I mean, Manchester City midfield and Manchester City wingers, and like, I mean, every player is amazing just by itself, and then when they are all together, we can see how important they are, like for the team,
Yeah,
and how they are a team, like together. Then I picked Kai Havertz. I think he was very important in the second line, and he scored the goal. And I mean, he now since Tuchel joined, I think we can really see how good he is. And when Lampard was there, I probably like wouldn't think that they spent a lot of money on him and he wasn't proving anything. But now with Tuchel, he's really showing how good he is. And on the second leg, very crucial with a goal and during all of the game. Now I pick Benzema for my striker. I mean, he was probably the only player in Real Madrid that managed to create some danger and on the first leg scoring a goal. And I mean, I cannot pick any other Real Madrid player because they Real Madrid just weren't in any game. They couldn't perform well. They couldn't fight against
yeah,
Chelsea. So Benzema probably the best player of Real Madrid, and can say like probably the best striker. I mean, so yeah, that's my 11.
yeah. I agree with a lot of it. I think a lot of the players they put, obviously really performed really well. I think yours and mine are very similar. So I'll start sharing mine, and we can see. Okay, can you see mine?
It's loading, but yeah, I think I can see it, but it's still loading. Okay, yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, nice. So yeah, as I said, ours, mine and yours are very similar. So obviously starting off, we had some different goalkeepers. You put Ederson, I put Mendy. I thought, he performed pretty well in that first leg, but that second leg, he was just so absolutely brilliant. Every time Real Madrid had a shot on target, he was always there. He was just a brick wall. That's what Real Madrid saw. I think he did obviously really well in goal. I think because of him, he was one of the most Chelsea's most crucial players. So yeah, I think he did really well for Chelsea, and I think because of him, they're in the finals now. So I think if Chelsea can just hold him, hopefully he doesn't get injured or anything like that, we'll be able to see a beautiful performance from him in the finals. So yeah, as my left back, I put Chilwell. I think he performed pretty well, for Chelsea in that first leg as well as some of the second leg. I think he did really well, making crucial runs, playing good passes. I just didn't think there was any other left back that performed like decent in both legs. So I think he was my only choice. So yeah, I think he did decently well. Right back, I put Azpilicueta. As you said, since Tuchel came in, he's been absolutely so vital for Chelsea. Playing that captain's role. Supporting his team at all times, playing very good at right back. So I think he did really well as a right back. So Yeah, I think he's making good runs, playing well defensively as well, playing good passes into the middle. So yeah, I think he did real good as a right back. And Ruben Diaz, obviously he has to be in here, getting man of the match in that second leg. He had to be, in my opinion, the best. Manchester City's best player in that second leg. So I think he did really well in defense. I think he was Manchester City's savior. So I think because of him, they're in the final as well. And Rudiger to play along with him, I think he did really well, especially in that second leg. He was running a lot, playing as a striker from time to time. Playing excellent in defense wise. So I think he did really well in defense as well as attack as well, making lots of runs down. You could also say down the wings, but he was also making lots of runs, getting into that middle side, coming up for all the corners. So I think he was him and Diaz were the best defenders in this Champions League, both legs of the semifinal. I think both did really well, and I think they'll both be very crucial for uh, City and Chelsea in the final. So obviously now I'm gonna put Kante. You can't not put him. He's so brilliant, defensive wise, attacking wise. He never gives up. He's always so energetic. He always wants to win the ball back. So when he does win the ball back, for example, that second goal in the second leg, he was the one that recovered the ball. He got it to Pulisic, and Mount was just in the middle for Pulisic to play him in. So yeah, I think that goal was Kante. Both legs, obviously, Kante playing so wonderfully. So yeah, he's such a hard worker. That's what makes him one of the best midfielders in the world. So yeah, I think he proved it in both of these legs. And obviously, since Tuchel came in, he's been, I think, Chelsea's best player. So yeah, I think in my opinion, Conte has been absolutely brilliant, and I think he'll continue to shine for the rest of this season and for the next season as well. And De Bruyne, he did extremely well in that first leg. Second leg, his form went a bit down, but I still think both legs he did really well for City. Playing beautiful balls. Obviously that first goal in that first leg, De Bruyne was able to curve it enough to get that lucky goal. So yeah, I think the second leg as well, he was playing more defensively, but I still think he did really well, and I think he deserved to be up there with Conte. And obviously, I put for my left wing, I put Pulisic. Both legs he performed really well. Obviously, that first leg getting that goal that gave Chelsea that advantage. And second leg he may have come on as a substitute, but I still think when he came on, he immediately impacted the game. That second goal was him and Conte. Conte getting the ball to him. Pulisic caught Courtois out, and then he just saw Mount in the middle. He's able to make a quick pass, catching Courtois once again, and then Mount is just able to tap it in. So I think Pulisic deserves to be on this team because his performance in both legs. Obviously, I think he's a hard worker, and I think he has a very bright future for Chelsea and for the American national team and whatever team he has he will be at in the future. Obviously Mahrez at right wing. I had to put him two legs and two goals in the second leg and a goal in the first leg helped Manchester City cross the line. I think he did really well in both legs. Catching out whatever fullback was on in both legs. I think he did really well at his positioning. Obviously both of his goals he didn't have to do much effort, mostly just a shot or tap in. But I still think because of his positioning, that's what gave him that opportunity to get such easy goals. So I think his positioning really helped him grab those three goals in 2 games. So I think he did really well for City. So I think Pulisic, Mahrez are my wingers to choose. And obviously, in my opinion, Werner. I think he did really well in that second leg. First leg, his performance wasn't that good, but I think getting that goal, the goal wasn't that good in the second leg. But I still think he was very crucial for Chelsea. He actually created a lot of chances. Took some shots on. Some of them were on target. Others went wide, but still, I think he was really good for Chelsea. And so, obviously, since Tuchel came, he hasn't been improving that much, but I still think he's been slowly improving. So, I think he has a better, bright future for Chelsea. He's been involved in most of Chelsea goals this season, so I think that's a plus for him, especially in that second leg. I think he did really well. And Benzema, obviously in the second leg he couldn't do much for Real Madrid. His teammates wasn't supporting him as much. But in that first leg, I think he was very active up top, getting that wonderful goal in that first leg. I think that was a really nice goal. I think he was very involved in both legs for Real Madrid. I think he needed a better team to help him support, and that Real Madrid team just wasn't there to help him. Help the attack. And I think if Benzema had a better attacking side, I think Benzema would have been able to help Real Madrid, cross the finish line and grab their spot in the final, but they just weren't able to do that. So, but I still put Benzema up there because I think he did really well. And if I had to choose the best player, well, just one player from the whole semifinals that was the best, I'd have to choose Conte. Hard worker, always being there, always wants to recover the ball. Whether it's all the way in the back, whether it's all the way in the front, whether it's just in the middle, he always run to as fast as he can, try and recover the ball. Yeah, the thing I love about him most is he's such a hard worker. Hard workers get what they need to. He worked hard to win the World Cup. He worked hard to win two Premier League titles. Now, hopefully, he works hard enough to win the Champions League final that he so deserves. So yeah, Manuel, if you had to pick one player, that was the best in the whole semifinal, who would you pick?
Ooh, I'm like between Kante and Ruben Diaz, but yeah, I'm going to pick Kante, especially like in, in, in all Champions League season, but in these semi-finals, he was so great, so important for Chelsea, and for me, it's Kante. What about you, man?
Yeah, I just said Conte. Yeah, obviously, yeah, Ruben Diaz and Conte. Yeah, they were the best two, in my opinion. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Conte. I
Yeah,
think
sure.
he's so
And
great.
yeah, like there were a lot of important players. Like you already mentioned, and I mentioned like Mahrez very important too, and especially not because the like you mentioned and it's a very important point. Not because the way he scored goals, but the way he was positioned in the field and the way he moved without the ball. And in the second goal of Manchester City in the second leg, we can see precisely that, just the way he gets on the back of the left back. And I think it was Neymar that was like looking at him, trying to mark him, and then he just like stop stop running after him, and he appears exactly on that position, running on his back. So it was a very two great games from him. And I mean, can also pick Ruben Diaz, like already mentioned. Pulisic also. I mean, although he didn't start on the second leg, so a lot of good players, but I would pick Kante too.
Yeah, really good player in both legs. So yeah, I think he completely deserves it, and he got man in the match for both legs. So you have to give him that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So now since we went over that, I think we should at least mention that Zidane has confirmed he'll be leaving Real Madrid at the end of the season. He just said he's not very happy at Real Madrid. So what are your thoughts on that, especially with his legacy?
Yeah, I mean, I can say that I didn't see that coming, but I mean the last years haven't been the greatest for Real Madrid. And I mean, and he obviously won three champions with Real Madrid, but he had like a really great team. And for the past couple of years, Real Madrid has been like in a rebuilding phase. They are trying to find the new stars, and they spent a lot of money the last two seasons to get new players. And they in 3 years they reached the semifinals one time. The other time they were knocked out in the round of 16. And of course, like they won La Liga last year, but Real Madrid, it's all about of getting to those European performances, and it's really important for them. They are the club with most Champions League, so it's normal. Like for them, the main objective, although they want to win domestically, they want to always win the Champions League every year. So they haven't been playing that great. And I mean, even if Real Madrid reached the semifinals, probably he wouldn't leave. I don't know, but it wouldn't be like the best performance from the Spanish side in the Champions League. Like so, even if they reach they haven't they even if they had reached the final. I mean, I couldn't say that they were the better side and that they really deserve it. I mean, now like you have Chelsea and Manchester City, and they show that they deserve it. And Real Madrid was so like worse than Chelsea. We saw it like and they had like, I can say, like probably easier games, like in the other knockout stages. So,
Yeah.
and they got a Liverpool with that was like bad like them, not playing really well this season. So it wasn't probably the best game to evaluate them. And then they played against Chelsea, and we saw how much like how easily Chelsea midfields like control like Real Madrid midfield. Like we saw Kante pressuring a lot, and Toni Kroos and like Casemiro, they didn't have that much space, especially, and of course the most important players in the build-up are like Modric and Toni Kroos, and they didn't have that much space. So we saw like, I think the game against Chelsea, it's the perfect game to see how bad Real Madrid is now playing. So
Yeah, I don't want to admit it, but I kind of have to. Real Madrid have been at their best since Ronaldo left. And, obviously they picked up their form since that horror season back in 2019, but, they still haven't returned to their very best with Ronaldo. Obviously Hazard hasn't done much with Real Madrid since coming. You know, I think Real Madrid, as you said, were perfectly evaluated against Chelsea. They're not capable of facing these big teams, as you said, playing Atlanta and Liverpool wasn't the best way to evaluate them. Two easy teams that haven't been performing at their best this season either. So yeah, I think Chelsea was the perfect way to evaluate them. They're not ready for these big teams, um, but they would be if Hazard just showed up. They had so much faith. Hazard just laughing in the face of Real Madrid fans, basically with Rudiger. That was so insulting to all the fans. Really, it just hurt so bad. But obviously Zidane. Uh, yeah, Zidane. He's tried his best with Real Madrid. He won the league obviously last year, but winning the league's not enough. One trophy a season, you can't just do like that with such a big club. Obviously he's won the Champions League with them 3 times in a row, just for after being a first-time manager. Obviously, he's shown that he's capable of being a good manager as well as being a good player. And um, I think it's okay for him to leave now. He's shown what he can bring to the table. I think he needs a break from this Real Madrid side. I think the team hasn't been helping him as much as they needed to. Now he's had enough, so now he's just gonna leave. I think there are some replacements that could replace him. Obviously Allegri has been one of the contenders to replace him. He's been out of a job since he left Juventus back in 2019. So I think he could potentially be a new manager for Real Madrid. I would love to see that. With his tactical thinking and all that. I think I would be very interested to see what he can do with this Real Madrid side. So yeah, there are obviously others. We're not going to go into that right now, but I think Zidane. I think he deserves to leave. He's done enough for Real Madrid. I don't think Real Madrid has done enough for him. So yeah, I think he deserves to leave, and obviously I respect him so highly. So yeah, I love you, Zidane.
yeah, then it's going to be like interesting to see to where he goes, because I mean the first teams that he coached in Real Madrid were really good teams, and it was
Yeah,
like the time that I think Ronaldo in 3 seasons, one season he scored like 16 goals in the Champions League. In the previous 2 seasons, he scored like 15 goals and 12 goals, something like that, always above like 10 goals, and incredible like records. And all of the team was playing really really well at the time. So, and he had the players, and then everything changed since Ronaldo left Real Madrid, and we saw like they try to bring new players, build a new a new squad with full of stars. In the this into like 2 seasons ago, when they were eliminated from the round of 16, they had a team with Hazard, for example, that was the player in which they spent more money in their history. So, and he hasn't proved anything until now. So he hasn't proved only one thing, that he's fat.
that's the
More,
thing.
no, not more than that. So I mean, and we kind of like expected more of him, but it was already like
Definitely.
also talked about in the press. I think that everyone knew that he was not the player that in the like during the training sessions he was not the like the hardworking one, but then in the games he was really good. But now in Real Madrid, it's nothing. Like I don't know how if he like he's really hardworking on the training sessions. I'm not there, but at least in the games, and of course he's injury for some time, but he hasn't played that like that good, and if you look to the other players that they bought, none of them like really stood out to the expectations Real Madrid had for them, and it's been like 3 years for some of them in the club, for some 2 years, and it's still not like the same Real Madrid than before. Like, and Real Madrid used to be this team that full of stars that saw, and if they saw like a star on the market, they would go for it, they would buy it, and I mean, like it used to be since the Galactics appeared, and they have been renovating like each years when a new period started with new players, new stars, and this like new period hasn't been as good as they wanted to for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think any of the players met their expectations. At most, probably Ferland Mendy. He's the starting left back now. Marcelo's really gone down the drain his form. So I think Mendy has been doing pretty well for Real Madrid. But all the other signings, disappointments in my opinion. They just couldn't perform as well as Real Madrid were hoping them. Especially Hazard, in my opinion, he was the biggest failure for Real Madrid. Obviously he got the winner against Sevilla. That was obviously an accident. Kroos took the shot. He was just in that right position. It was his positioning wasn't even that good. He was with the defender. So obviously, Hazard hasn't done much for Real Madrid since he's came. 3 goals, I think, in the past 2 seasons. I think he's been injured more times than he has goals. That's really disappointing. So I think honestly, I hope Real Madrid choose to sell Hazard. Get their money, get some type of money, get rid of his wages. I want them to afford either Mbappe or Haaland. I really hope they don't end up as flops just like Hazard. But yeah, I think he's also one of the biggest reasons, for Zidane to leave, wasting 100. I think it was 100 million on a Belgian star that's now a McDonald's star. It's really disappointing. And no one wants to see that from a 100 million player. So I think that's really disappointing. I hope they sell him, go on loan, go completely sell him out. I just hope that I think he's the reason that Real Madrid or that Zidane's going to be leaving Real Madrid. So I think it's really disappointing from Hazard especially.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Like so much money spent and nothing in return.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. I'm especially being a Real Madrid fan. That really hurts to see just a Belgian do absolutely nothing. Disappointing, disappointing, disappointing. So yeah, now I think we should just take a few minutes to mention that Inter finally won the Serie A. Obviously it's been quite a while. I think 2010, 11 years ago, Juventus finally entered Juventus's reign. They're still winning. They're still winning all their matches. I think they have a good chance in the Champions League next season. So what are your thoughts on that, winning the Serie A after 10 years?
Yeah, it's good to see them again lifting a Serie A trophy. And last time it was with Mourinho when they won everything. They won the Champions League. I think, yeah, they won the Serie A. They won the Italian Cup too. So it was a incredible team full of stars. Like when we were like in lockdown, like I think it was like last year, the UEFA with no games that they were like in their website publishing some like previous games in previous years, and there was a game in the year after they won that they played. I think it was in the group stage against Bayern, and it was like if I was like watching that game and I was seeing like so many good players they had. It was incredible, and all of them were incredible, like incredible strong, incredible tall players, like really Mourinho style, really a really good defensive style. But a lot has changed since then. Juventus were champions 9 years, right? And
Yeah,
they now Inter managed to break that and take advantage, of course, of a bad season of Juventus, but in a season in which they were for a long time fighting for the title against another like sleeping giant against Milan too. And in the end, it was Inter who won it, and they deserve it. They have been going for the last years. Last year, they were in the Europa League final. They lost against Sevilla. I mean, it's like when you play against Sevilla in the Europa League final, it's like it's meant for them. But okay,
yeah, that's their
but
tournament.
yeah, they have been like also uh, getting the chance to get to play on the Champions League again, which is good for them to also get more money and get some and play some games in a competitive level in which they weren't like used to play for the last years. And I mean, like Conte also like did incredible job with them, and he deserves it to. He deserves to like it's also his merit too, and can
Yeah,
also mention several players like Lukaku, Lautaro Martinez, Hakimi, very important Hakimi in my opinion too, and Skriniar, for example, too, really important on their defense. And they are champions of Italy. I mean,
yeah, finally.
congratulations for them.
Yeah, obviously, I think you said it all. They've been absolutely incredible this season. You know, I think since the beginning of the season, they've been doing really well after that Champions League campaign. After they got kicked out of the Champions League, getting last place in their group, obviously, that gave them all the focus onto Syria. I think they took that opportunity and they put it to work. They put their players to work, and finally, after 11 years, they're able to lift that Syria trophy. Finally, in a few days, they'll lift it. There'll be tons of photos, tons of celebrations. I think some of the star players, obviously, as you said, Lukaku, Lautaro Martinez, as you said, Conte finally did a really good job using the Inter team. There have been rumors of him leaving the club, but I think that's not very likely. So I think yeah, I still think Inter have been the best team in Italy, obviously. So yeah, congrats to them, and I hope to see their form pick up only from now, only go up.
Yeah, I hope so. Like, and put. I hope that they can also next season and the next years too. I hope they can put some competitions against Juve in Serie A. It's good for, of course, like Juve doesn't want that, but it's good for the league.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, competition. Juventus winning for 10 years. Each year we know Juventus is gonna win. Juventus is gonna win. Finally, there's a new competitor. AC Milan also obviously picking up their form now. From now on, they're only going up, as well as Inter. They're only going up. Obviously, teams like Atlanta, picking up their form. Lazio picking up their forms. A lot of different Italian teams are now coming up, challenging Juventus for that title. Juventus obviously haven't been the best team in Serie A this year, or in any competition. Getting knocked out against Porto, that was disappointing. They're only winning one trophy. I think, in my opinion, it was Pirlo's fault. First time manager playing him, the Agnelli's decision to play him as the professional Juventus manager for the first time in his managerial career. I think that was a big mistake. You can play him with the Juventus B. I think there are other managers that can take the place of him in the beginning of the season, but I hope to see him out at the end of this season. Each match we're gonna see a different lineup. We're never gonna see one lineup. He doesn't always have a plan. He's always gonna think of something new. That's not what a manager should do. Change it from time to time, but new players and new formations every single time. It's just not gonna work for a professional big team that has such a legacy to carry on. And getting possibly not even qualifying for the Champions League next season. That's a disgrace to Juventus, and I think it was Pirlo's fault that Juventus didn't is not might not qualify for the Champions League this season or next season.
Yeah, it's going to be strange to not see them in the Champions League if that happens, but it's
Yeah,
also good to attract some attention to Europa League too. And I mean, I don't mind to see them in the Europa League. And probably let's see if this also kind of helps Milan and Inter to raise their performance and become again incredible sides. Let's see.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. I'd love to see, a good challenge, especially for Juventus. Finally, some challenge in this area. I can't wait to see it, and I hope to see more of it in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, so now since we've done that, I was thinking we can quickly go over three, well, who we think three teams with the most underrated bright future are. So you can go first. Who do you think are? Can you name three teams who you think have the most underrated brightest futures in football today?
Okay, so I mean, probably I'd start by Rangers. I think they have been doing a good job, like for the past like 3 years since they returned to the first league in Scotland. Obviously, they had a tough period, like for the past decade, if I'm not mistaken. They went into administration. They had to go up all the tiers again, and they fight for that. They have been also with interesting doing interesting things out of the pitch, and they have like they have been like selling the rights of the Scotland Premiership in India, or they have been also like related to that for sure. I know that, and they have been also on the field putting good performances in Europa League. They were good. They topped their group in the group stage, and in the Scottish Premiership they won it without not losing a game. So it was an incredible
Yeah,
season for them, and I mean, although I don't, yeah, they didn't won any other like trophies domestically, but for them just winning the league again, it was like very important. After all these years, seeing Celtic lifting the trophy, and yeah, they were champions if I'm not mistaken for the 75. I don't know, 75 no, so 55. I mean, or 57 time in their history. One of them I don't recall, sorry, but yeah, they 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 are like a very a historic club in Scotland, pairing with Celtic too, and they now break like yeah they break the chain like Inter did with Juve, and they deserve it to win without losing any game. And if we watch the games against Celtic like this season and for the last seasons, they were like way better than them. Although they in the previous like 2 years they didn't won the league, but they when they played against their main rival, that they were superior and they showed that they were good. And this season, it's been like it's the result and the consequence of the work they have been doing for the last couple of years. And Gerardo, of course, like very important in all of this campaign and all of this like 2 or 3 years, 3 years. I think he has been there. So congratulations to Rangers. So I mean, like probably the next team that I would pick it's Sporting from Portugal, Sporting Club Portugal, and of course they it's been like in everyone's mouths in here in Portugal because they have been champion. They were champions this week for the first time in 19 years, and it, it's been an incredible season for them. They were like Rangers. They were almost invincible this season. They didn't lose a game until yesterday when they played against Benfica away, which they lost 4-3. But it was the first game they lost this season in the league. So pretty good season. They also like Inter, they took advantage of the fact that they were out of European competitions pretty early in the season. They didn't even get to the Europa League, so they could focus on the domestic competitions. And in my perspective, I kind of, as a Portuguese, watch it a lot of games during this season from Sporting, and they just had another mentality that they didn't have in the past, like in the past more than the decade, in the past century. Like they were like they had a winning mentality, and they every game they in every game when they were like in a bad situation in a very difficult situation, they just had the mentality to never give up until the final whistle. And even in games that they could draw points because they had a good advantage, like over the other rivals, the other teams that were fighting for the title too. They didn't they didn't stop fighting until the end. And in my opinion, like this is one of the key things from taking off this season. This changing the mentality, and it's a job of Sporting news coach, which is Ruben Amorim, used to be a professional player. He played for Benfica and other teams too in Portugal. And he joined Sporting like in March of 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Some like 1 or 2 weeks before the lockdown, he was in Braga, one of the like the probably the fourth best team in Portugal, and he had just won the League Cup with Braga, and he joined Sporting, and he straight away tried to implement his ideas. He changed the tactic for 3-4-3, and it was an amazing job because he used his first like 6 months there in a season in which Sporting was in fourth, and it wasn't a good season for them, and he used it to try to understand each player and try to see if they fit his idea, his playing style. And when the new season started, he just went to look for the players that he needed, and he mentioned this several times throughout the season. He he when he has a player, he looks to his characteristics and tries to understand how they can fit his playing style, how they can fit Sporting tactic, how they can fit how he wants the team to play. And he really built a good group. He build a group really, really connected. Even players that didn't have a lot of minutes during the season, when they come on the pitch, they they fight for the club. They fight for the game. They fight for the points, for the results. So, like he completely changed Sporting mentality, and he managed to also bring a kind of a mix of players, of youth players, young talented players coming from the academies of the club. He brought also very experienced players from like Antonio Adan, which used to be like a goalkeeper in Athletic Madrid, like second goalkeeper, but he used to be also Fedal, a player that he used to play in Real Betis in La Liga, and all of these players are over 30 years old, also like Sebastian Coates that has been in the club for a long time now, and he also mixed them with players like Nuno Mendes, which is a left back that recently got his first two caps for Portugal, first one cap for Portugal, and he's only 18 years old. And we saw also a lot of other young players shining in the club, and in my opinion, it's really about the mentality and what he brought for the club and the team. And I haven't seen for like in the past like couple of like 20 years or something like that a team from Sporting like with this kind of winning mentality. And this is what changed this season. And I would say it's like an underrated side because we don't know like what is the future. We don't know if they will manage to now build the momentum for the next years. And even like imagine if Ruben Amorim leaves the team, if they'll stay with the same mentality, if the players leave, what will happen? We don't know. But what is true is that like for the first time we saw the club, all the club was like has won for sure. And Sporting has been a club that has been like affected by like in inner fights at like the top level of the club, and that kind of obviously affects the team. So, but this season, this change. That's why I put them on the list. So my last pick, it's Lille. They have been doing a great job, like for the past like 3 4 years since I think Gerard Lopez, like a businessman, Spanish from also from Luxembourg. I think he bought the club like 4 4 5 years or something like that, and now he's not the owner anymore because when he bought the club, I think he got a loan to bought the club, and now the club is in debt, and he needed to sell the club. But he implemented a completely new business model to the club, and it's something that we've seen in other clubs in actually in Liga because, for example, Monaco used to have in a season, for example, in which they went to the Champions League really far, like quarterfinals or semifinals, if I'm not mistaken. They had a lot of young players, and this new business model that he implemented, it's all about that. He brought from Monaco Luis Campos, which used to be a sporting director at Monaco, and he was a fundamental, crucial piece, a key piece in this new business model, bringing a lot of like young players that were waiting to be discovered, and they brought them to Lille. They were very important. Like you can mention a lot of names like Nicolas Pepe. I mean, now we have at the team we have Jonathan David that they bought from Ghent, if I'm not mistaken, and they are really young players. And this business model, it's all about that. They bring young players like from a relatively low price, and then they sell them at high prices to bigger teams. And they have been like taking advantage of this business model. Also, very important that they have very experienced players. For example, they have Jeff Font in the center back, really important. If we look to this season, in a very important player, it is the Turkish striker Burak Yilmaz. He has like I think more than 15 goals this season for Lille, and he has been very important. And he's 35 years old. So, but I mean, of course, in my opinion, they are like underrated. Probably people don't give the team or and the club like the value that they should be given, and it's going to be tough for the next years because they now are in a difficult financial situation. But I mean, this business model in which they can spend like really really like small amounts of money in players and then sell them for bigger prices. It's going to be very important for them and continue to be in the next year. So yeah, let's see if they win the Liga also this season, how it's going to be in the Champions League for them. And yeah, this is this is my these are my three sides, my three clubs that I think are like underrated. So
Yeah, I agree with you for a lot of them. I've picked a few different teams, but I still think I still agree with you for a lot for all three teams that you mentioned. You know, obviously all three teams they've been really good this season, so I agree with you there. And I think they do have great futures ahead of them if they continue to play like they've been playing now. So I'm gonna start off with the how you started off. Rangers, obviously they went off. Finished the Scottish season yesterday, and went completely unbeaten. It was a great run from Rangers, from Steven Gerrard playing them the way he wanted to play them. You know, he obviously played them in a very smart tactical way. You know, I think he as a manager has a great future and bigger teams ahead of him. Obviously they did pretty well in the Europa League as well. You know, topping their group, and I think they only reached the round of 16, but I still think they had a good run. And you know, Scottish Premiership, still I think 35 games unbeaten in all of them, especially against the Ravens Celtic. I think they played them 2 or 3 times. I'm not sure, but still they went unbeaten each time, and they finally won the Scottish Premiership, the trophy they've been looking for a long while. So I think they have a great future ahead of them if they continue to play like this. If Gerard continues to use his team that the way he's been using them in past seasons, I think they're a really good team overall, and I think they have a great future ahead of them. And I think they're extremely underrated. So I think people should notice them much more. My second team, I'm gonna pick West Ham. I think this season they went into the Premier League season, obviously being contenders to get relegated, but now they're contenders for the Champions League qualification. Obviously, it's gonna be tough, but I think the transformation that they've went through this season, especially since Jesse Lingard arrived at the club for on loan, I think they've been a really good team collectively. They've had great stars such as Jesse Lingard, uh, Declan Rice. I think he's been injured for quite a while before, but when he came back, I think he's doing really well as well. Uh, you know, to collectively as a team, as I said, they're doing excellent in my opinion. I think they're a good team in the Premier League. I think if they do end up in European competition, that's a team definitely to look out for. I think they're very attacking side, but I think they know they have odd tactics that the managers put in. But I think the tactics that they use are definitely suited for them. So I think they're a really good team overall, and I do think that uh, they'll at least qualify for the Europa League. They might not qualify for the Champions League, in my opinion, but I think they will qualify for the Europa League, and I think they'll be a very good team in the league. And I think that next season, even though Jesse Lingard's leaving, I think they built up that confidence to help them push forward and try to think of themselves as one of the top teams in the Premier League. So I hope they think like that, built up that confidence, and then I hopefully, even though Jesse Lingard's leaving, I hope they still push and strive for that Champions League spot because I think they really deserve a Champions League spot. I think they're a hardworking team and I think they really deserve it. So that's my second underrated team. My third underrated team, I'm gonna say Wolfsburg, third place right now in the Bundesliga. I think they are an excellent team in my opinion. Defensively they're doing really well. Attackingly, and as an attacking side, they're doing really well. I think no one notices them. Most people just only knows Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, and Leipzig, but they're still there. They're most likely going to be qualifying for the Champions League next season. I don't think anyone's going to be noticing that. So notice it on this live stream that Wolfsburg are a good team. They have been a good team. Their top scorer in the league is one of their players named Wout Weghorst. I think 21 goals now, 21 goals. I think he's been one of their best players so far this season. So I think Wolfsburg obviously a team to look out for. I think they're really attacking. I think they're very smart tactical wise. So I think that's definitely a team to look out for, and I hope to see more from them in the future. I think they're also one of those teams that have built up confidence in themselves, and I hope to see more from them in the future. And yeah, those are my three teams: Rangers, Wolfsburg, and West Ham.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And I'm I'm excited to see what West Ham has to offer in the next season in the European competitions. It's going to be great for them to play in the different competitive level. And yeah, Rangers. I mean, it's impossible not to mention they have been doing a great job,
Yeah,
for the past 3 years. And you mentioned in Bundesliga also, Wolfsburg, very important. Probably most people say we have Bayern, we have Dortmund, and there's Leipzig. That is a pretty recent team, and a lot of fans of other teams don't even like that team in Germany. But yeah, that's another story. But then you have Wolfsburg, has been performing really well this season. They also performed really well in I think last season too, and you can also mention other teams like Bayern Leverkusen, also pretty good for the past years. Borussia Mönchengladbach also probably not underrated, but also really good team. So there is more about those three teams that you mentioned, Bayern, Dortmund, and Leipzig, and Wolfsburg is one of them, and probably one of the most underrated ones.
yeah. I think the leagues are also underrated as well as the teams. For example, Bundesliga and Liga 1. I think they're very underrated leagues, but still think they have great teams in those leagues. So I think we should also look out for those leagues.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. So going back to our name, the Touchline Report. We talk on and off the pitch news. So now we're gonna move on to off the pitch news. So Manuel, what are we gonna talk about first?
So we are going to start talking about the media, the like right sales of the UEFA competitions, UEFA club competitions in the Middle East and North Africa. So finally, this process, this selling process started. It's now open for proposals. The, so basically, the UEFA is um, selling the competitions in to I think two main like packages that they are selling the UEFA Champions League, which also include the UEFA Super Cup and also the UEFA Youth League, and then they are also incorporating the Europa League and the Europa Conference League in a different package, so the second tier and the new third tier competition package together. So the interesting broadcasters, they can now show their proposals, like present their proposals, and in just like 13 days um, is the deadline. So they don't have for the first round bids, they will end in like 13 days. And in this like region, what is been normal, it's begin to be the broadcaster to have the rights. They I think in this region they also have the rights for the Premier League. They had also in North America too. They had the rights for the La Liga, but they sold it the rights for the rest of the seasons that they had. I think it was until 2020 till 2023, if I'm not mistaken. But they have sold it, and now the ESPN bought the rights for the remaining four season period. And I think yeah that they being hold the rights in North America for like one season, and the remaining three season is going to be ESPN who recently bought it. And it's who yeah they recently bought it, and they bought in a 88 years deal, which is like worth it around like 175 like $1 million like per season. They although like being known doesn't hold these rights in North America, they hold in like 35 countries and territories, and they are probably just let's say the strongest contender to buy the to get like at least a package the Champions League package in this region. But there are also like some contenders to it. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's a joint proposal from Abu Dhabi Media, which owns a pay television broadcaster called Abu Dhabi Sports, and they join with pay television broadcaster OSCN, and they are like basically they are probably going to uh, do a bit together and try to get the rights for the European club competitions in this region. What is also interesting is that Champions UEFA is not like splitting um, the live Champions League rights into different package. I think like the rights to all of the 138 live matches per season, which include the UEFA Super Cup and the Champions League final, are all included in the single package. And the same happens with the Europa League and the Europa Conference League that is going to, of course, start next season. All the 282 matches are all in the same package. So yeah, I think this tender is something that has been uh, in for some broadcasters something that they wanted for a long time. They have been pressuring UEFA to announce it and to announce the invitations to for them get to get those proposals. And yeah, now let's see how basically win it, and yeah, being it always really really good positioning to get them. So
Yeah.
the second news that we have about off the pitch, it's about Real Betis. They recently announced a platform to basically do some kind of activities against like climate change. It's basically a platform in which like companies, even if they are not sponsors of the club, they can um, register there, and they basically are, by signing up to this platform, they are committing to with Real Betis working in some kind of activities against climate changes, and they I think now they have about 10 companies there, which is pretty good. And they, for this project, they also, I think they consulted the United Nations. I think they have also a program against like climate changes for to which they also sign up for. And it's good to see like clubs doing this kind of stuff. And the football clubs hold so much power in the society. Football is something that it's taught like everywhere you go to dinner with someone or friends, and you talk about football. So it's something that can influence a lot of people, and it's good to see the clubs like that to enter in this kind of like adventures. And if I'm not mistaken, they are also like the the only club that has like football club that has compensated their carbon footprint, if I'm not mistaken. So they take, they basically retribute more than they take from the earth, basically, which is like pretty good to see. And now with this kind of platform and this kind of initiative is really good. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's good to see like clubs can participate and use their power to influence other people.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really inspiring, actually.
Yeah, and our last off the pitch news, it's about David Alaba. We all we all know him, like he's going to leave Bayern this season, and he has Austrian. He also has a boyhood club and has a football player, of course. And his boyhood club is Austrian Vienna, and he now bought like I think a 2% stake on the club, which is like was like a proposal of about like 500,000, if I'm not mistaken. And although like Austria Vienna is like a very good club in Austria, although like for the past like seasons we all about we only heard about like Salzburg, but they have about like 27, I think, league titles, if I'm not mistaken. But for the past decade, they have been with some financial troubles. I think since 2006 or 2007, when the owner left the club. It was an Austrian Canadian owner, and he left the club, and now the club has been with some financial problems. So this is all part of another initiative which basically aim to attract this like new, like let's say business, this new like uh, media sized business to invest and sponsor the club to basically generate more funds for the club, and that way the club can also retain and acquire more talent. So it's good to see that like a ex player or a player that has connections with the club is also willing to help his boyhood club and help to participate in this new like adventure and invest in the club. So let's see if any other like medium sized business like want to invest in the club. But yeah, it's good to see like a player like probably giving a good example for other players that they passed so many they played so many years in other in certain clubs which were very important for their like development as a players. And Alaba joined Austria Vienna when he was like 10 years old, and he spent like 6 seasons there. Then he left for Bayern. So during 6 years, this club and is for sure like or probably the club that he supports in his homeland contributed for his development, and he's basically showing that we you can't forget from where you came, you know. So yeah, and he showed that pretty well and in a good way, and probably let's see if in the future he will invest more. Now he has just a small stake, if I'm not mistaken, like 2%, as I already
Yeah,
said, and it's good. Like it's good to see that he is willing to invest, like, and probably help save his club. And in the future, I mean, if when he finishes his career, he probably will be even more like investing on the club and willing to put more money on it. So let's see.
yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think that's the one of the most interesting off the pitch news topics we talked about today. Obviously, a footballer buying part of a club when you're still a footballer, that's obviously really interesting. Especially now it's his boy club, so that's I think that's really cool. I think that's I think obviously 500k euros. That's for a player of that size, Alaba. Obviously that's not too much for him. But I still think that's really cool. That that could be that could be somewhat of a sign. Maybe he can take a big role in the club in the future. President, chairman, something associated with the club in the future. Obviously that could be like some sort of sign. But I still think that's really interesting and really cool that Alaba did that.
Yeah, for sure, and it's good, like good to see. Although it's like a small amount in the club, he probably has some plans for the future. We don't know, but yeah, now he still has some years to play, and probably when he ends his career, he will be like even more committed to the club.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that's all we have. That's all the time we have. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, yeah. I was not going to say anything more.
Yeah, so all I was gonna say is that's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Leave in the comments whatever you want us to talk about next. We'll definitely look at your ideas, hopefully put them into consideration, and definitely, probably apply them in the next video. So yeah, make sure to subscribe and everything like that. Check out our website, the Footy Report, obviously. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining, and leave your predictions for who you think is gonna win the Champions League final in the comments.
Yeah, I subscribe everything that you said, as you should also subscribe our channel, and also make sure to, as you already said, to check the footy reports. We have new articles every day, like at least like almost three per day, and it's good to see like in very interesting topics. So if you want to know like about some teams that probably don't appear in the new like the normally like media channels that you use, make sure to check out our website. And also make sure to also check out in our YouTube channel the other podcasts that we have also. So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for watching, and we see you on the next episode. Thanks.
Yep. Next Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you guys so much for joining. See you guys next time.
Thanks. See you.